300 to 450.
Sounds right to me.
Then you get into some areas where it's 600. Like when you get up to Okanagon. That's where you were. Okanagon. Steamboat Rock.
Oh.
That's 800, 900.
Give me that name of Steamboat Rock one more time.
Okanagon.
Ah.
Okanagon. It's a pretty name.
It's a pretty name, and I'm sure there's quite
It's
a
like
story.
when you take a mortar and turn it over on the ground.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Oh.
And on top of Steamboat Rock is all of the roots. The whole area is a garden of all of the roots. All of our root foods are berries, harvest berries, currants. Everything grows up there. So
Up on top of it,
Yeah.
you mean? Yeah.
So we would go up there just to take samplings of it. It was a pilgrimage. It was just so cool. First time I was up there, I'm on top of the world. Then I looked over and there were some parts of the plateau that were higher. Shit.
No, but I never really thought about that. I mean, if you talk about plant communities that have been untouched,
Yeah.
you know, there
Yeah.
you go.
It's like the Tepui in Venezuela.
Huh.
There's great, big, huge Roraima that sticks up there at
Yeah.
8,000 feet or so, flat as a pancake. Everything up there is its unique life form. Everything has been geographically isolated for millions of years.
Well, we should go up there too, I suppose, at some point.
I think
Randy.
so. I think so. Oh, Steamboat Rock? Yeah.
If there's a whole story and set of
Oh, yes.
characters up there,
Again, that's where Coyote was flattened out.
same
For-
idea.
Indiscretions. He was indiscreet all the time. He just never learned. His answer to everything is, I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. And or he'd get after his brother Fox for not reanimating him by stepping over him 3 times. So he'd get mad at Fox. What took you? I wanted it to sink in. How long have I been gone? Oh, 5,000 years.
Well, I didn't know we were heading to Jameson Lake today, and I'm a little surprised. I didn't know that you have intimate family history up here.
See how it's all burned off?
I do. Oh my God, there they are.
Yep. Yep.
Are we catching this magic window for
Yeah.
these guys?
Yep.
Not Mariposa Lily, but your name.
Yuk-yuk-walps.
Yuck.
Yuk-yuk-walps.
Thank you.
Yuk-yuk-walps or yuk-yuk-walps, depending upon which area of town you're from. Aren't they beautiful?
They are.
It's a little garden. All this spring, it's just been a continual show from one after another. But look out there. Mariposas, the butterfly lily.
Oh, there are thousands of them. Holy cow.
There are millions of them. The wildfire was a curse to some, it was a blessing to others.
Mm-hmm.
And always the animal people, they stand as sentinels along the rim of the canyons around here. This was some of the last buffalo jumps were in this canyon.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Into the 1600s.
Now, is that what I think that is, where you've got folks running buffalo?
Yeah.
And
You seen the movie Alpha One?
no, but
About the boy and the wolf. When man and wolf came together. First first pet dog, the first Labradoodle was a wolf, Labrawoolfel, and it shows them. It shows a beautiful picture. These are the Ice Age buffalo with the horns that are wider than your car here. A little bigger, like half again as large, as beefy.
Huh.
And okay, as we progress along here, in the evening is the best time to view these.
Oh yeah.
Because they're silhouetted against the evening's horizon. But all along here, if you look at the horizon, you'll see those are the animal people that are bearing witness to keep an eye.
Oh.
All along here. And my auntie, she had them all named. So they weren't random. They were and each one of them had a story.
Just this stretch right in here.
Yep.
Come on, Gizmo. Oh, yeah.
And the magic time to be out here is in the winter with a full moon.
I'll bet. So she had names for each.
Yeah. I said, did you know them? No, thinking that my great aunt was so old.
Right.
You know them personally? Ah, yes.
Next question.
See, now they become more and more pronounced.
They do. I think I gotta get out to really do this right.
Get out. Get out.
Wow, I never would have noticed these guys before.
In the time before time.
Sentinels overlooking.
Sentinels of the valley.
Yeah.
The incoming. They were the gatekeepers, because people would be coming in, or life would be coming in through there or through there. They guarded the valley.
To protect the people.
To protect the animal people, the other the other beings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there were human beings so much as other life forms to protect their valley. And again, you notice there's some mariposas here, but very few, because the sage toxifies the ground. It puts down oils, chemicals into the soil that deter any other life forms except cheatgrass. And I think a lot of the European sages that we have evolved with cheatgrass in Asia, Europe and Asia. So they're first-hand nuisance cousins.
So if you and I were standing here in 1805, we wouldn't see this sage. We'd have grasses.
Bunch grasses and mariposa lilies. And about 50 different types of lomatiums. We had 12 in here. 12 different types of lomatiums that we harvested. And still do.
That was the case for more than 10,000 years until the last 200, the last 150.
Yeah, for 20,000, 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
See the people up there.
So you asked your grandmother if she knew those.
I told her I said, white people call them gargoyles. Same purpose, They keep an eye.
Yeah.
They're watchers.
So we're quite a ways from Wenatchi now. So this was important. This area was this upper Moses Coulee was important to your folks. Your people.
Well, great grandpa, Ishwal. When they were driven out of Frenchman's Coulee, they had to make a choice: go to Yakima Reservation or to the newly established Moses Columbia Reservation, which extended from the Cascades all the way to, from the Cascades to the Okanagon River, from the Canadian border south to Lake Chelan. That was the newly formed Moses Columbia Reservation. So those Naham speaking people or Salish people were told they had to leave. 1878, right after the Nez Perce Wars, the cavalry showed up, told them that they had to abandon that place and relocate. So the first place they went was to Wenatchi, but they got kind of a hostile reception there. So Ishwal took his people and came up here to their old digging grounds, one of their camas digging grounds up here. And there they stayed for 2 years. And they lost a lot of people, died, because it was a forced march. And so their graves are all along. We buried them, secreted them away. So this is the burial grounds for my people, for some of my ancestors. And he was there, and it's a beautiful spot. And so there was a pilgrimage for us when we were kids. It meant a lot to my grandma and my grandpa because my grandpa knew him. It was his great-grandfather, great-grandfather. Yeah. Charlie was born, Ishwal was born in 1829. So, and he died, or 1839. He died in 1939. He was 100 years old. He was married to my great-great-grandmother, Loche Marie, and who was about the same age. But they didn't get along, and so they separated. But she cursed him and said that she would live to bury him. I'm going to stick around long enough to see you underground. He died in 1939. A week later, she died.
Oh.
And Grandpa said, he stuck around all that time, hoping that she would never see him die. Never underestimate the healing power of hatred, you know? But I don't fault either of them. You know, it works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or at least they had the good sense to get out of it. And he moved over to Nispelem and he left his allotment that had been assigned to him by the government there at Aswell, where the dam of Aswell is now. That was our property. That's where we lived. That's where Mom and M's ranch was, or my grandpa's ranch. But he missed his people. They had gone to Nispelem, a lot of them. They didn't take allotments on the Moses Columbia, which only lasted for 4 years before the government came in and told us, you're going to have to get out of here again.
Really?
And they dissolved the Moses Columbia Reservation, 3.5 million acres of it. White people need it. White people.
So what year are we talking now?
1882. 1880. They were driven out of there in 1886. Didn't last long. That was a treaty, you know. It's like, how much are your treaties worth, you know? Let's move.
Yep.
Before I have to have a cigarette.
Yep.
See the canyon there?
Oh yeah. Okay.
The canyon was really important because there was ferrous oxide that leached out in great abundance up there for red paint.
Okay.
That they mixed with the orange lichens, the red lichens. And then you look up there, there's another canyon. I guess this is about a mile stretch across from one canyon to the other.
Okay.
And that one produced another color, another pigment in the rocks.
Okay.
And below that, between them, is a creek that runs through here. And that's where the village was of my great-great-granddad. This is where they came when they were driven out of Frenchman's Coulee.
Really?
So this means so much to us as far as a part of our history. And so for a little over 2 years they stayed here until the government came in and said, you have to leave here because we've chosen an allotment for you. they placed it as well, right on the Okanagon Chelan County line. And that was okay. That was okay with one of my grandmas, great grandmas, because her folks had been there. There was a big wintering encampment at one time, but that's where their village would be. I mean, that's where their allotment would be. So, one of my great-great-grandmothers, she was okay with that. The others, okay, we just have to take what we get. You know, they're very pragmatic. I wouldn't say they liked being driven out of Frenchman's Coulee, because let's face it, that is spectacular.
Yes, it is.
But you can see some of the same geology from the baklava down there and the baklava up here. By that I mean the layering.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't, again, this is just spectacular. This is home. The creek was still active this spring when I was here. We went down. And I brought a group from history and archaeology out from the Colville tribe. They'd never been here. But this was such an important and rich ground. The soil. You could put your digging stick in over there and literally go right to your lips. There was no rocks. What do you call that?
Wuss, I guess, yeah.
Tuffla.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is just so, over here it's a little rockier, but over there as you get closer to the hill over there, that first rise connected to the lump.
Yeah.
Then you get this wild escarpment. It looks like it's been paved by a stonemason.
Uh-huh.
All next to each other, close. And you see the most crazy things coming up. There'll be shit coming up through those rocks. There's nothing else but rock, just flat, all flat like it's been paved.
Uh-huh.
But there's camas, bitter roots coming up through it.
So I'm sorry, I want to ask, maybe you already said it, forgive me if I didn't hear it right. So after 2 years, they're driven out of here.
Yeah.
And they only really can go one place?
Yeah.
Which is?
Colville Reservation, or to the Moses Columbia Reservation. And no, they could either go to the Colville or the Moses Columbia. A lot of them went to Nispelem, where Chief Moses was. And the remnants of his tribe, of the Moses Columbia people. And interesting. It's interesting to see what survived, what grew. This is the last remnant of mariposas here. Last week it was totally bloomed out over here.
Was it?
Across the road was just a solid sea of lavender. They're so perfect.
They are.
They're so beautiful and tasty and yummy. They taste as good as they look.
You eat the petals or the root?
Huh? The bulb.
The bulb, yeah.
It's got a perfect bulb. It's about the size of a shallot. What can you tell me about that lump?
Nothing.
Okay. That's why I brought you.
Well, I was on a field trip here 5 years ago, and it was a major source of discussion, but damned if I remember.
Well, before it all burned off, there was a huge sage grouse habitat.
Oh, really?
And when we were here earlier this year, there were pronghorns out here eating the tops of the limatiums because they loved the tops of the limatiums. And there were probably 8 or 10, maybe a dozen.
Pronghorn antelope right here? Last year?
Yeah. No, this spring.
This spring?
Yeah.
That's news to me. I didn't know there were any antelope here.
Yeah.
Huh.
They love, outside of Indians, they probably like that limatium more than any animal. because they were just going from one to the other, snipping off the tops, keeping an eye on us. Then I'd see their butts flare white. I'm going, okay, you're getting too close to them. So then I just sat and I dug in one spot, and then their curiosity got the best of them. They had to come and check us out.
Oh, sure.
They're such a curious animal, full of curious.
Wow, I'm really surprised by that.
Huh?
I just never heard of
They were
antelope
driven,
up
the fire drove them out here.
there. Oh.
They've been out here. They're seasonal visitors out here. But they came from the reservation. Colville's got the majority of them. But the fact that they came across the Columbia.
Oh, right. How does that work?
They have got these hollow hairs that are life jackets. You can't sink one of them. If you shot one, it would never sink. They're just buoyant as heck.
Crazy.
In the evolution, in time's evolution, they're probably one of the oldest animals on this continent. So we're here, we're looking out at Moses' stronghold and some clutter up there. But you see the oasis down here?
Yeah.
There was always a source of water. There's Rattlesnake Creek, but it drops down into the Coulee there, and it's this is an extension that goes up where we crossed over earlier to come down into the Coulee. If you followed this Coulee, it would go straight up to where we were at.
Yep.
It's just rich, and visually, that was the road. That was the original equestrian highway that came down. And there was always places along here with water, little oases, and a creek. The creeks always seemed to, up until 1933, I think, was the first time that the creeks dried up here. And it was because their water source had been tapped by farmers and ranchers. And so it upset the balance here. The water would generally go down into these cisterns that were all rock. So if you look out across the, what do you call these, the scablands, or out here across the plateau, there's this, it's rich. It's rich in biodiversity. And you see all this the good shit down here.
Well, I do, and I'm also noticing how windy we are right here. I'm going to pay particular note when we drop down to those levels to just see how protected we get, you know. That's going to be a really interesting way to compare.
Well, in the summertime, you appreciate this breeze down there.
Oh, I suppose.
But in the wintertime, your breezes are coming up from the south, not from the north.
I'm just seeing this whole transition zone between the upper and lower Moses Coulee in a totally different way now, thanks to you today. I just didn't see the power of this.
Or the life that exists.
Yes, the life. That's it.
Oh,
I've had a one-track mind, you know.
We got a story here, and I'm not too sure how to unravel the story.
Well, refreshment here on a Friday afternoon.
Looks like they were enjoying the good shit here, and
oh, yes. Okay, let's swing down through. Down past the Singing Stone.
Look at the beauty of that. Louis L'Amour would have had a wonderful time. The Riders of the Purple Sage.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that is heaven. That really is heaven.
When somebody asked me to describe a smell, I said, I wouldn't know how to describe this smell.
Truly. Truly. Oh, no kidding.
Oh no, there's no kidding about that. Coyote or fox. That's a fox. It's a gray fox. See him?
Yep.
Look at that.
I can't get any closer.
Boy, did he move.
How can you tell between a coyote and a fox?
Just the color.
Really? There can't be that many fox in this Coulee, can there?
Fox are a little more secretive,
Ah.
but you see them. Cross fox, gray fox, red fox. They're all here.
Really?
My granddad used to go out here to Spiva Butte. You know where that's at?
No.
North Douglas County.
Okay.
Big butte. We call it Lightning Butte. And because there were gray foxes out there, and he would snare them for his uncle, who was a medicine man, and he shared the medicine man's power came from that fox. So he would get them for him so he could make medicine bottles out
Oh,
of them.
wow. Huh.
And I felt sorry for the fox. Grandpa said, don't, because it's done in a holy way. And I tell that to the fox. You always feel sorry for the wrong reasons. You were spoiled when you saw Bambi.
Yeah. So imagine dropping in here on a late November afternoon, and your whole family is,
The smoke is
your
just
whole
sitting.
community is here. Yes.
The smoke is sitting above this, and as you're coming in, you're seeing the poles from the lodges all sticking above the horizon here, and just wrapped around the entire bend of the Coulee, just scattered out are lodges, little groups of 3 or 4 together.
And this is not a place where you've been here for 2 years. This is a place you've been for 2,000,
Yeah.
12,000.
Yeah, it's been a going on.
Just that permanency and having everybody
Yeah.
know every square inch of this place.
Yes, knowing everything. Let's pull over here.
Sure.
That nice?
That's nice. What's the bird?
Huh?
What's the name of the bird?
A pea martin.
Pea martin.
Look at the folds. If there was a fiery hell, that's where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
The underworld.
Mm-hmm.
I think every culture's got an underworld.
I suppose so, huh?
Whether it's Judeo-Christian, whether it's Asian,
Yeah.
whether it's African. Definitely the Aborigines of Australia, they have it. So I guess that it only makes sense that we have an underworld also.
Yep.
It's where the fire came from. It's where first life came from. When we honor our elements or our animals, when we talk about the beings. Fire was fire, water, and land. Fire and earth became the first life.
Mm.
So rock, so we talk to our rocks. We honor them, we show them respect. When we take rocks, we honor it, we show it respect. When we use them in sweat house, all of the elements are there. Sweat lodge, you have fire, you have stone, you have water, and then you have the lodge, which is the organic. And so you're paying honor, you're paying homage to the first life. We didn't come along as a life form until, well, we were always life, because we're from that. Mm-hmm. We come from that. We were just a different, we're at a different evolutionary stage of becoming who we are. We're born of water, we're born of fire. We sprang from a wave. We sprang from the fire. My friend Sandy, she said, we sprang from the water a meeting of waves, and together rose as one. We sprang from the fire a meeting of waves, and together rose as one. That's our chronicle of our past, is that, yes, we were, because we're a part of everything that is. It's a continuum. So my grandfolks used to always say, you respect fire. Fire's old-timer. Fire has seen the beginning of our world. We were born of fire. Fire begot water, the second life. Mm-hmm. So it kind of parallels contemporary thought.
It does. Yeah.
And it was the collision of those two that gave birth to land. It gave birth to wind, air. Everything we have comes from fire. Everything we are, everything that is born of fire. This spells it out in such a dramatic way.
Yes.
Yep. So you get a different type of Great Basin and European wild rye. Very gentle, very soft.
This is different than the other wild
Yeah, and
rye.
this is Eurasian wild rye. Continually drawn back to these.
For good reason.
It's a retreat to the sacred, you know?
Yeah.
Later on in the summer, you got to watch these areas because they're great cover for rattlesnakes.
Mm-hmm.
The birds and the rodents are attracted by the berries.
I see.
And it's cool, so it protects the snakes. See, notice how the air changed here.
Yep.
1 mile away, different.
Amazing.
You've led a very sheltered life.
For my world, simple compared to a metamorphic rock that's gone through about 5 different lives, you know, and very difficult on.
Or anhydrous stones like opal.
Yeah, yeah.
I find opal just a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Especially what they call precious opal, black opal. It just gets a little bit too plasticky looking. The thing they're looking for is all of the glitz and glitter.
Yeah.
I guess that's the reason I like jade. Nephrite. I prefer nephrite over jadeite. It's got a certain softness to it. It doesn't look as treated.
And also important in your family history as far as trade and
yeah, I think it was
value?
my great grandparents who really valued it a lot, because it just meant the antiquity. It was the stone of heaven. It was indestructible.
Jade.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason when I have an adze blade that's about that long out of that green jade.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandpa said that's probably maybe 1,000 years old, just by the wear on it. He said because it was probably this long. Now it's about this long.
Oh. From centuries of use.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it took centuries to get it down that far.
That's wild.
He said the prettiest ones were those that were unused. They were given as gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And your family just valued them because of the nature of nephrite. The nature of jade is to be indestructible, inconquerable. You just can't shape it any. It gives you a lot of resistance. It takes a lot of expertise to shape it. Then you see these beautiful, beautiful, silky finishes on an adze blade. Just a simple adze blade, mm-hmm. a celt or a kilt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so beautiful. But you look at it and you think, the only way they carved this is sandpaper, sand and water. And how long that takes to wear it down.
Yeah.
It's almost geologic time. But one piece you would work on for a year, 2 years, 3 years wasn't instantaneous. They didn't have the equipment they have now. And so those would be given as gifts. And kind of like any great valuable gift, you hold on to it and you just appreciate the nature of how it was created and what it's made for. Probably the most beautiful thing that I've ever had is a pipe made out of blue nephrite. Comes from Alta Lake.
Was that a gift?
Mm-hmm. It was my great grandma's. And she smoked it. And I used to help her put her packet for her, and I'd give it to her and she'd light it up. Then fall over. I wait there for a while, then I go and I take the pipe, clean it out, wrap it back up, put it in her little bundle above her bed. Every night, pull it out, hand it to me. Take and clean it out, pack it. And there was no destroying it. You couldn't hurt it. You can't scratch it. Fire didn't seem to do any damage to it at all. I could clean it out and it looked just as clean. It retained no smell. Not like catlinite will retain a smell.
Right.
Anhydrous stones, for the most part, do. So
no idea the history of that. If that was given to her when she was younger or anything.
It was
like
given
that?
to her by her grandmother.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. It's been handed down and handed down.
Oh.
And she has a little pipe bag that goes with it. A little compartment for her Indian tobacco, like the stuff we were smelling up there.
Yeah.
And it was quite beautiful. It was in its simplicity. When she died, Grandpa gave it when she died, it was given to Grandpa. Then when my grandma died, her mother-in-law, they gave it to me. My grandpa goes, "Here," he said, "I'm going to give this to you. You know more. You've been closer to it than me."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "But don't you start smoking." He said, "Don't you start smoking. It killed your grandma." I looked at her. She was 104, and he goes, "Yeah, well, she'd have lived to be 120 if she hadn't started smoking." And I said, "And would you have liked that?" And he goes, "No." We won't go there.
So you still got the pipe?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I don't know who I'm going to give it to, probably my niece. And tell her she has to smoke it though. Because that's the fulfillment of it. It's not a man's pipe, it's a woman's pipe, you know. And it should go to somebody in the family. Not as a goddamn bookshelf piece to sit in the bookshelf to stare at.
Yeah.
But something you keep it alive. It had purpose. It had a life. You formed it, you shaped it, you created this role. Don't deny it its role. Don't deny it all the prayers that have gone through it. Every time she used it, she prayed with it, and the smoke carried her messages to the Creator. So maintain that. There's a reason for that. It's been blessed by 10,000 smokes, you know. And so I think it's important. But I think it's important that a woman smoke it. Have you ever been up to the pipestone quarry up in Winthrop, Twisp?
Never.
Catlinite, red pipestone.
The only I know there's a pipestone formation, a geologic formation. That's all I know.
Bucket list.
Bucket list. What the?
You gonna let me in?
You keep getting locked out. What the heck?
Your car hates me.
I guess so.
I guess it really does. I'm white, you're red. That's what it's saying. That was immediate thought. There wasn't. Here where it's singing rocks. Some of these are singing rocks here, but most of them are over there. But it's interesting. Okay, along here. No. There's 3 areas within the Coulee that are really kind of unique. This here you get a lot of playback from, resonation. Down here you get resonation, but you also get sounds that emanate from the rocks during the heating and cooling of the stone in the springtime. And all of a sudden, early in the morning, you'll get voices shooting out of the stones.
Here.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
Because there's a crystalline material inside some of the stone, and like crystals, they capture sound, vibration, and under optimal conditions, they release it. That's my explanation for it.
It's the same lava flow all the way through.
I know, but that's the reason I'm looking for cryptocrystalline materials, deposits, because that's generally when you find them.
Well,
Also down at Aswell, because of the granitic outcroppings there,
yeah,
there's a lot of quartz in there, quartz crystals.
the same kind of singing,
Yeah.
great acoustics.
Yeah. Well, there you literally have voices coming out of the walls in the springtime. So I asked Tupa about that, and he said, those are old people who, thousands of years ago, they were sitting there and they were talking, and that rock was right at the right temperature, and it captured them, only to be released again under the same exact conditions that may not happen for 1,000 years. But once it's expelled, they don't play back.
Wow.
Once in a lifetime. I said, but there were a lot. He said, well, there were a lot of people who lived here over 10,000 years. Yeah, damn right. So.
Well, I mean, we got into this acoustics thing because a few hours ago we were standing right here, and I don't know if the microphone picked it up, but I could hear this amazing reverberation or
resonation. Not resonation. It's just the echo.
But it wasn't really delayed. You were like amplified almost.
Yes.
In real time. It's like I'd never really heard that before.
I was broadcasting live, Radio Free.
Radio Free Europe, yeah.
It's a Rock Talk coming to you live. All we know is, the only thing we can be sure of is that there's yet to be how would you say it? We got a lot to know.
Yep.
The more you learn about something, the more you realize this is probably just this. We're skimming the surface about everything. We ain't all that bright. I'm glad they have this. And this is what happens every time.
Oh, sure.
Okay. You give it more than 2 moving parts, I'm baffled. I'd be the perfect migrant farmer, just picking lettuce. Not beautiful.
It is. Do we have a name?
No, I don't. It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty. Can't eat pretty. You know, when you're growing up and you see everything change, but you come back and you're going, that split rock looks just the same as when I was a kid. It has not changed. How long has it sat here, split? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? You can't call it a desert.
No.
Or it shouldn't be, because it's not deserted. There's life and there's so much. It's interesting how our food cycles on the plateau here are so balanced. From spring through the spring, your gathering consists of roots, the vegetables. It moves on, they die down or go back to sleep, and then you're into the fish and berries. So you're busy harvesting the salmon, the huckleberries, the sarvice berries, and the choke cherries. That moves into fall.
Yeah.
And you go into fall foods, deer, elk, sheep. And so we have feasts for all of these. Our salmon feast, or fish feast, or the deer feast, which encompasses elk and moose. And then your fall run of fish, again, king salmon. And so it gives you time to fill those niches.
Yeah.
Every one of them. You just move, which means we were, I wouldn't say semi-nomadic as much as we were very, what do you say, we were mobile.
Mm-hmm.
We were mobile, we were agile, and we were hostile. The nature of our being.
The 3 aisles.
Yes. Yeah, I think I'd live here in a heartbeat. Probably over there. Don't want to spoil it by, the best way to appreciate something is by letting it be. So maybe I wouldn't. Maybe old Billingsley had the right idea, down where he's at.
Mm-hmm.
Moisture over there, some sort. Verdant.
Makes me wonder about the early days of the Billingsley place. Like, were they coming in as soon as your folks were
departing.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they were, yeah, about that time. Because great-great-grandpa with the Miller Fur Trading Post supplied all these people out here. From 1882 till 1906 or 1912, he supplied the people out here on the plateau. He greeted, matter of fact, he probably invited them by the sounds of it, German families from Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota to come out here. And they did. So if you get up on the Waterville Plateau and Wenatchee Heights, it's pretty much a German enclave. It's just, and then you have Doukhobors that were coming in. They were being pushed out by the Russians, then by the Germans. They moved into Canada, about 40 or 50,000 of them exited to Canada. And then feeling some of the pressure there, they moved into British Columbia, then not feeling welcome there, they moved down here to Waterville. But again, the first wave of drought, it destroyed the dryland farmers, a lot of them. And so they moved on down to Oregon, into the Willamette Valley, which didn't seem to be impacted by the drought. Feel that.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed every 10 minutes out here, man. Yeah, it really has.
That's wonderful. I hope more than 2 drops. Okay, that was it. A great thunderstorm.
So your grandpa was Jerome Miller.
Yeah, his father was Sam Miller, and his father was Samuel C. Miller, founder of the Miller Fur Trading Post, Miller Street in Wenatchee. Prairie stars. Yeah, those are prairie stars. Yet again, another beauty.
Loving the burn from last year. These guys are really...
Yeah, well, I don't think this burned last year.
Oh, you don't?
No. This is as natural as it gets.
Okay.
This is what Chachalosha, or white camas we call it. It loves this type of non-competitive. It's not competing with sagebrush. It's not competing with cheatgrass. So you'll find bitterroot and white camas in these areas. But so much of it was destroyed during the great sheep herds of the 20s, 30s. They overgrazed, stripped areas. I don't think they were doing it consciously. Probably an unwitting move. Yeah. Unfortunately, when they got into Moses Coulee, in the upper Moses Coulee, just on the other side of Highway 2, they hit delphinium and death camas, and it wiped out their whole herd over a 2-day period.
Really?
Yeah, they had a band of sheep, over 2,000. Unreal. I was like, okay, karma's quick here. You overgrazed. Zap. God will punish you. In this case, Camas will punish you.
I guess so. Oh, just the fact that we're revisiting a playground of yours from the 1950s, essentially, you know? But
yeah, it was a curious, fulfilling my curiosity well. I got a deer trail. You take the high road and I'll take the low road. and I'll be in Colony before you.